questions about medication, just ask your ward doctor. This person here was on a 4,000 calorie diet. Alright, hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today Sonny and I are going to be exploring an abandoned asylum. Super hyped to check this one out and of course to take you guys around this place. So let's head on around here and see what we can find. Alright guys, so we are in one of the patient ward buildings and we have the barber and beauty shop. So we're going to start off right here. Let's go check it out. So here's what we're working with. We have 2 shampoo bowls. It's just crazy when you think about the amount of asylum patients that were in and out of this place. I mean, having, salons and barbershops inside these facilities was pretty common. These places were quite self-sufficient and it was a way to keep asylum patients like almost in a bubble to, in a way, sadly isolate them from the world and have everything that could be done at the asylum be done here so that they didn't have to go out into the community. I'm really surprised that these curlers were left behind in here, and it actually looks like maybe they were able to be plugged into the wall, I'm guessing. I'm not too sure if they could have been like heated or something inside this container. I do not really know much about how to even use curlers. It's definitely a more dated thing, but wow, that is a pretty cool find. We got the patient medication guide and it lists all these different medications that patients here may have been on. It covers all kinds of areas like antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. It even mentions lithium, which is a pretty common medication that was prescribed when facilities like these were open back in the day. A bunch of side effects are listed on the bottom, but of course I think this is the most interesting one down here. This little statement: if you have any questions about medication, just ask your ward doctor. It's just so cool to see this. And posted right here on the nurses station is something I wouldn't really have thought about, but it is the scheduled smoking times for the patients. Looks like it was around every hour or so. And maybe they were allowed to go out to a designated smoking area or the day room. But yeah, I guess this is kind of an insight into one little part of their daily routine here. As you can see, we are currently in dorm A. Let's see what some of these wards look like for the patients. So here's a peek into a little sub-cubicle type section. And I believe that there probably would have been like 2 patients possibly in each little segment here. There's not really much as I would like to see, no beds or anything like that, but this is kind of a general idea of, at least in these buildings here, these wards, what it could have looked like for some of the patients. But one of the cooler things I did find in here is what looks like maybe some physical therapy type equipment, some weights, but they could be used for therapeutic purposes. So I guess maybe in some of these sections here, not only were there spaces for, like these dorms, these ward rooms, but also some of the therapy, treatment areas as well. Now this is a pretty crazy find. This is one of the padded rooms that is a part of this ward. And I'm just gonna head on in and kind of see what it feels like to be inside. Definitely feels pretty strange standing here knowing what these rooms were used for, and also considering that this facility did not have the best track record with their ethics and how they treated patients. So your mind can only begin to wander and imagine what kind of things people went through in here. And you can only empathize and hope that they're at peace now. So we are about to leave this building, but I couldn't just not show you guys this list of honor card rules. And pretty much here, an honor card would be a privilege for a patient to be able to leave the ward unescorted for a certain amount of time, pretty much as a reward for good behavior. And on the opposite end of that, obviously, if they had an honor card and they were misbehaving, it could be kind of used as a punishment to have something to take away from them to discourage that kind of behavior as well. And what's pretty cool is you can actually see up here on the other side of the board that we have a little card that is noted for a 15-minute honor card. So people who had 15 minutes that they were allowed to walk around unassisted off of the ward. And they have a few of these pinned names here. So these are very likely patients back when this place was operational that had that right to go and, use their honor card as they please to take that 15 minutes off of the ward. So that's kind of crazy to see that these names are still posted up here. So this is the next building we popped into. It seems to be like the kitchen, dining area. And you can imagine that this probably was once filled with tables, and all the patients would be sitting in here, and probably towards that end bit over there would be where they would get served. And now it is just one hot, decaying mess. Here's a look at all the equipment. Deeper into the kitchen. Just so much running water damage in here, mold growth. But yeah, you can only imagine how much food they were probably putting out because this place was notoriously overcrowded. It's actually cool that this is left. Sonny actually was the one who pointed this out to me, but this is an old patient meal tray. I don't know if there's any other ones left here. This is the only one I've noticed, so that's kind of cool too to see. But now it is super grimy, filled with delicious green water. Alright, so as you can see, we are making our way through these tunnels, and we're gonna go see where it leads us to these other spots on the campus. And on a little side note, it kind of looks like someone decided to do some finger painting. I'm really hoping that's mud. But anyways, let's head on out of here and see some other buildings. Here's a little hint as to where we are right now. We are inside the patient bowling alley, and it is completely covered in these absolutely adorable little animal designs. But I'm excited to show you guys the rest of this room. But let's just admire for a second how absolutely cute this is. So here it is. Here's all the main lanes for everyone who's going to bowl here. It's definitely cool to see a place like this that's still decently intact and not really hit with a lot of water damage. I mean, granted, this place is decently flooded, but all things said, I mean, the lanes are still pretty intact, and the wood is way less rotted than I would imagine it should be by now. But I'm going to get a little further down the lane and show you guys some of the details down there. Here we are further down the lane, and you can see these floating lane markers, and we also have these little penguins just hanging out on the wall. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with this place. I'm going to head further back and actually show you guys, because there is a bowling ball left here, which I think is really cool. So I'll take you back to there in this really old school looking ball return that they have. So here's that ball return I was talking about, which is definitely on the older side. And here's that bowling ball that has been sitting here getting really gross for decades pretty much. Alright, so we have gotten into yet another patient housing building, and in here I just noticed that there's this little kind of like a medication cabinet with all these labels, and one of the labels actually says lithium on it. So that's kind of cool to see that there's like further evidence that that really outdated medication was being used here. And there's all other kind of labels here too. I think I saw this, I thought it was kind of funny. An assortment of suppositories. Lovely, lovely. And we just made our way deeper into one of the wards, and there's actually another like med section where you can see even more. It's handwritten lithium, 300 milligrams and 600 milligrams. So they really just probably had a good amount of it. It seems like it wasn't just the medication some patients were on. It seems like they had quite a lot of it stocked actually. And it looks like we actually have another padded room that's pretty similar to the one we saw previously. So I'm going to do the same thing and take you guys inside and show you what it looks like. So kind of similar to the other room, there's these portions that can open up, and it kind of gives access to the window where you can have natural sunlight coming in. And when you look around, it's kind of that same feeling underneath your feet, that like slight squishiness, but not really as much as you would think. I guess maybe that's just a complete misconception, because I've always heard people say it's actually not that soft in here. That's not really like the movie depiction or what we see in, the media. But This one's also pretty fairly clean, no graffiti, which I always like. And Sonny actually pointed this out, that there's like a little speaker on the ceiling, possibly for an employee to speak to you, I'm assuming. And I think there's a portion of that as well that matches up to the outside of this room, so I'm gonna hop out really quick and show you guys that. So here's what Sonny, I think, probably could have like kind of communicated into the room, like as a speaker, or I'm not too sure, but I mean, it seems like it would make sense, also just based on how it looks. So maybe this is a way for them to communicate with patients that were being kept in the, padded rooms, the seclusion rooms, without going inside, because obviously there were some safety things to consider. So we found another padded room down the hall, and in this section here, you can more clearly see that it does say loud speaking intercom, and that there are these buttons that you can hit to turn on and off to talk. So this was definitely the way that employees were communicating to the patients that were being kept in these, seclusion rooms, and probably was coming out of that speaker that I had just shown you guys before. And one thing that I noticed in here that I haven't seen in the other rooms so far is the corner mirror. So that's just to give good visibility and to avoid any blind spots for staff looking into this room, just because some of these patients may potentially be a danger to other people, and they want to make sure they have full visibility of the room and what's going on before entering. I thought that this was a cool little find by the mini kitchen area that they have in here. It says the patient's name and their ward room number and the type of diet order they had. So like, for example, this person here was on a 4,000 calorie diet. I would kind of want to know why, like what maybe like was the rationale for that. Or like this person is on a regular diet but they can't have eggs. Low fat. I don't know, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to see all this. Either way, let's head on over to do some of the other buildings. So Sonny and I were taking this super, not like I want to say super flooded, but it's decently flooded tunnel over to one of the other wards. And I found this guy. I don't know if it's like a newt or a salamander, and he's definitely still kicking. I think he's just chilling right now. I saw him swimming around a little while ago, but that's just too funny. I can't imagine he's doing too hot though, because there's like asbestos and all kinds of gunk in this water, so I don't know, I hope he's doing okay. But it's crazy to me that these places literally have whole ecosystems. Like, how nuts is that? What the hell is going on? And there's like this massive spider. Oh my god, this is starting to freak me out. At first it was cool, and now I'm like literally terrified. So we just slipped into the nurses station of the 3rd patient ward on this campus, and you can see actually that there's a breakdown of all the patient names in here, and it goes by ward. If you look at it closer, you can see up the top it tells us like ward 80. I don't know if the M's and the F's are, if they separated by male and female, and then these are all of the patients that were here, I'm assuming up until the closure. And here's the actual dorm itself, or the ward, which you can actually see here that they also had the little name slots outside of each door. So I guess this little section here had rooms for 3 patients, and these were, I guess, the last people, like I had mentioned before, that when these things are left, this probably indicates the last patients that were here before this place shut down. So that was their room on this floor, right there. It looks like this lists all of the hepatitis B carriers in the ward, and says as of, May 13th, 1987. So there were 3 different patients here at the time that carried hepatitis B. I'm actually kind of surprised this paper isn't more tattered, because some of the ones down here, which are really cool because they're handwritten, you can just see there's holes all over them. But it's just interesting how things, decay differently over time. Some sections here are really preserved and some are just absolutely destroyed. And we just made our way into the bathroom that's associated with this ward, and as you can see, there is this hydrotherapy tub with this little seat and a strap that, the patients would sit in to help them get lifted to the tub. It's a century design, and I've seen quite a few of these throughout my explorations, but I've seen a few of these minty shades, and I always really like the color. I think it fits the I guess, the theme of this period, the date of, the time that asylums were around pretty well. So it's cool to see that this one still has that left behind and it's decently intact. Alright guys, so Sonny and I are absolutely beat. It's been a really long, chaotic explore. We've been pretty much all over this place. The campus is massive, and in that we actually haven't even seen all of it, which is the craziest part. But I think we've had a really solid time. I'm pretty sure Sonny would agree. And yeah, we're ready to clean up, get some food, get some water, all that good stuff, definitely. But either way, guys, we really appreciate you watching this video, and we are gonna peace on out of here.
Peace.
Alright guys, I'm gonna end the video right here. I hope you enjoyed exploring this abandoned asylum with Sonny and I. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and of course, like always, we'll catch you in the next one.